Hi and welcome to another edition of In the Mood to Scrap. I'm Wilna Furstenberg. Last month I asked the P's to create their own mood boards to inspire all of us and to link them up in a message board post. And let me tell you, I had such a hard time to choose one to create a page from. And in the end I chose Gina's because I love the colors and I just felt that there were so many elements in this mood board that could be translated into a scrapbooking page. So I will link it in the information part of the page. The products that I use is very simple and very colorful. I use some ribbons, chipboard by Create Paper, the On Trend, and I use my Silhouette Cameo and die cut the Sing Your Song title. Actually, I cut it out I think 3 times and I just adhered the pieces together with cardstock, so it's almost like I cut it out of chipboard. I'm also going to be using gelatos and glaze, and I'm so excited about this technique. That colorful paper was also a big inspiration, and it's called Carousel by Create Paper, and the black and white paper is also by Create Paper, I think from the DIY collection. Now, first of all, I wanted to create these enamel dots that I love on the mood board, but I wanted to create it with gelatos and I'm going to use glaze over it. This was also inspiration for these dots, and let me tell you how much fun it was to create these glaze or enamel dots, as I like to call them. So first of all, you're just going to use cardstock and with your gelatos color like a little kindergarten kid some round dots. What I love about the gelatos is that you can create all these different colors by overlaying the colors. So if you want to create a lighter green, you can add the white to it, and that is just really how simple it is. So I went ahead, I used the carousel paper from Crate as my guide so that I created green dots and blue ones, and you'll see how I'm going to use white over that green to create a lighter green. And I'm just going to go ahead and make a lot of these. So you see I lightly color that white with a little green. So basically just using the rainbow of colors that I love on the mood board and see how it's going to translate into this page. The only thing about this specific technique that I'm using is that it takes 24 hours to dry. So I did this one day and then I finished my page the next day. But that's super fine, and I think sometimes scrapbooking teaches us patience, and patience is a virtue, so it's all good. Right, so I'm doing red and pink, and you can just see all the colors that I'm coloring. And even though it doesn't look like much now, you must see the moment I add the glaze, what an amazing difference it makes. So I'm just speeding the video up to show you quickly how I colored my dots, which is really not rocket science, but I made about 2 dots of every color, and then I added some white to some of it. So, and you'll see also in the final page how I arranged it in the rainbow of colors, or at least try to. So the next thing I want to do is take the glaze and start to paint on it. Now, my biggest piece of advice at this stage is get a couple of brushes, because you don't want to contaminate your brush with color, but you also don't want to clean it the whole time. So what I did, I have about 5 or 6 brushes which I just used for every different color, and in the end I just washed them all. I lay it on really thick, and I actually, when it dried after a couple of hours, I added another layer of glaze. So glaze is a fantastic medium to use on your scrapbook pages. You can add shine and that little bit of texture and beautiful 3-dimension with glaze by coloring anything. You can color chipboard, you can color die cuts, even you'll see the butterfly on my page. I glazed it over with a nice thick coat of glaze, and I just wanted to make sure that it dried completely. That's why I left it for 24 hours. You can see how beautiful the gelatos become, almost exactly like those beautiful enamel dots. And that was the idea of creating enamel dots by using the glaze and gelatos. So let it dry, and then we'll finish the page, and you'll be amazed at how beautiful and shiny it is. It's really a fun thing to use. So here you can see it's dried, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut it out. You can see it's shiny and it's beautiful and it's dimensional, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I just absolutely loved the process of this page. The next thing you want to do is just take scissors and cut it out. Again, this is really a kindergarten page, very simple, but I think in the end it's the pages that's the most simple to create that really packs the biggest punch. You can see that I am leaving a little tiny white border around the enamel dots, and that's just personal preference. So once you've cut them all out, then we will proceed to finish the page. Right, now you can see I'm starting to arrange them according to color, and I'm following the carousel paper at the bottom, starting with blues, greens, pinks, reds, oranges and yellows. So I actually have more because I did test it out before I created the page to make sure that it does look like enamel. And I'm just going to see exactly where I want to put it, and then I'm going to adhere it with a little bit of hot glue. So I took some off, but you can use as many or as little as you want to. In the end, this is the arrangement of dots that I loved. I cut the carousel paper a little bit smaller, and as well as the 12 by 12 cardstock, cut it a little bit smaller with my paper trimmer. And I love that black and white stripe at the back. Another inspiration from the mood board was the butterfly. So I took the butterfly from the On Trend, and I used the black and white butterfly to offset the background paper. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to adhere my dots, and you can see just a tiny bit of hot glue here, and just stick them down. I use different kinds of hot glue, and I think you should experiment. You get hot glue for foam that is not as hot, or they dry a little bit easier, or it's a little bit thicker, and I found that that works well with paper. So experiment a little bit with the hot glue sticks that you can find. Most of it is acid free, especially if you buy it in a craft store. Now I'm going to adhere my ribbon, place a little bit of hot glue, and you can see how I fold my ribbon, and then I'm going to adhere it by folding it so that you get that dimensional feeling of the ribbon. And that is one of my favorite ways to adhere ribbon. So you can see it looks flowy and dimensional. And I'm going to do the same with the yellow ribbon. Just a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to squish it up and place another bit of hot glue. Just don't put too much hot glue on the glaze because it will melt. So just be careful with that. And I have a piece of organza ribbon, and I feel that this last piece of ribbon just softens everything up for me in a very beautiful way. Again, I'm doing it in a dimensional way, very flowy, and now I'm going to add my butterfly, and I used a glaze and I coated the butterfly with a lot of the glaze, so it's nice and thickly coated, so it actually has a very pretty shine to it. You can see I cooled my hot glue a little just to let it pop off the page. It's almost like using a pop dot. Now this is the title I cut out, and it comes from Jana. My youngest girl wrote me the most beautiful note for Mother's Day, and she said that in her note she wrote that we will be your backup dancers, will you sing your song? And I really went into the ugly cry when I read that. It was so pretty, and I thought I have to make a page of it. And I decided to cut the letters out in white cardstock so that it's tone on tone. Because it's so big, I wanted it to be there but not be there, if you know what I mean. Be very subtle. Also, I want the focus of the page to be on these beautiful enamel dots with the butterfly. So that's the reason why I did my title as I did it. And as I said in the beginning, I actually cut it out 3 times, and I used some Mod Podge to just adhere the 3 layers of the title together. So it's almost like I used a piece of chipboard to cut it out. It's nice and sturdy. The font that I used for my title is Obadi MT Condensed Extra Bold in small letters, and I'm just going to adhere it with a little bit of hot glue as well. I think hot glue is especially cool to use with stuff like this, because to put double-sided tape or even pop dots on this is to me really a nightmare. So maybe I'm using hot glue mainly because I'm inherently incredibly lazy, but just don't tell anyone. Someone asked me also, how do you get rid of those little spider webs that hot glue makes? And it's just by rubbing your fingers lightly over the page. It's almost like collecting a loose hair, so it comes off quite easily. So all that I'm going to do now is just add ink splatters, of course, and I'm using this beautiful mint by October Afternoon. I'm also using a big round brush. It's a very big brush, and it makes the most perfect round ink splatters. And here you can see how glossy and almost delicious those little enamel dots are, and the tone on tone of the title. So all that remains to do is to add my journaling, and of course I'm going to be writing to Jana a little note that said, thank you for the Mother's Day card, and thank you for the words that you told me or wrote to me in the card, And yes, you made me cry, because ultimately she said that was her goal, to make me cry. I didn't think she thought I would go into the ugly cry, and it was quite embarrassing because we were sitting at a brunch in a restaurant and I was just sobbing. So I'm just going to tell that back to her in this page. You can see I just put a piece of paper over the paint just to make sure that I don't spread it around on the white. And I'm writing with a lovely pen, and it's in a grey. So again, it's not quite black, so it's a little bit more subtle than black. And I love those writers. It's called a Zig Writer Chalk Pastel Colors in grey. So once I'm done with my journaling, I am just going to stamp with roller stamps, just some sentiments, just to create a little bit of a texture and on the page. I'm using the Dear Lizzie sentiment stamp, and I'm going to add just a date stamp. And my challenge to you this month is to use as much color as you possibly can on a page, and I'm very excited to see what you come up with and inspire us all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm Wilna, and today I'm having a fabulous hair day. Bye.